I find myself like my first Indy 500, I think it was the most women in the race like ever. Like, so I've always been in this era of I guess professional motor racing where like I've raced against a lot of really good female drivers. So like I have grown, like I understand that there was definitely a time before this time, and even there are times now where hey, like there's still a very small number compared to the male drivers, right? But I've been in an era which I think is really cool, where again I've seen everyone as like, hey, we're all just going out and racing. Like but it's a great time to, compete at the highest level against no matter who it is. Right. So what's the state of women in motorsport right now? How do you feel about it? There was obviously recently, the most influential female drivers. There's big, a lot of Twitter sphere activity about who's got the most
What
power
was
right now
that?
on the internet, which is wild.
Um,
But like
oh
what
yeah, because it's followers or something like that, right? Wasn't
Exactly.
it
Yeah,
like
yeah.
who
But
has?
hey,
Oh my
people
God,
love
such
talking about it.
oh, yeah.
What do you think though? What's the next step for, for the, for women getting into motorsport? Do you see a lot of incredibly talented women? Obviously now in the FIA Academy, they've got that as well. What how is everything looking?
Honestly, Connor, I'm kind of disgusted with the way it's looking.
All
Like
right.
it's
Good
it
to know.
shouldn't be it shouldn't be about how many followers you've got, and that gives you the ability to go out and find the funding. And like, yes, okay, I'm glad that you're participating, but that you shouldn't be the flagship at that point. Like, I think you're right. I think when you first started and there was like Danica and B and Simona and me. Like, show me where that breed of up and coming driver is right now, because there isn't. Like, you
Yeah,
look at
you
the
guys,
academy
that whole
drivers,
group there. I mean, that's you talk about every single girl you just mentioned right there. Hey, those are good. Those are good drivers.
right? Is there anybody that you have noticed in the ladder series that's coming in that is anywhere near the caliber of those drivers I just mentioned?
Well, I don't want to get in trouble here.
No, no, me
I don't want to
neither.
say.
I
I'm
I
gonna
just
let you deliver the
let
message.
me get into trouble. I think there are a few, right? There are a few with potential. But what's happened is they've been segregated and they've been put in the W series or the F1 Academy, which I think is, by the way, done a lot better than the W series was, because at least they're with good teams who
Mm.
are going to teach them what to do and how to behave in situations and help them come along as drivers. So I think that's a step up. But also, unless you're racing and you're challenging yourself against the best, you ain't going to get better. And I'll give you Jamie as an example, right? I think Jamie has potential and I like her and I think she has the right attitude. But she was languishing in the W series for so long. When she came over here, she got her ass handed to her because she wasn't ready for it, right? Physically,
It's hard.
mentally, whatever it may
Motorsport is
be.
hard. Yeah.
And it's really hard. And so she had to fight and claw her way through this year. And looks like, she's gonna be okay and she's gonna do it. But then you've got a bunch of these other girls who are look like they're in it for the wrong reasons to me, because they want to be internet models or whatever it is that they want to do. I'm like, no, you've got to suffer with the rest of them to be as good as the best of them. Like, unless you're out there challenging yourself to be the best that you can be, like, can you imagine if I put you in I don't know, a Formula Ford series back in the day. And then, you'd been racing against club races. And then I'm like, now you're going to do Indy Lights, right? Like, you would just not be prepared. Now you're going to do, I think, next. Like, Sophia Flourish, for example, has the right idea when she's actually racing against the guys in FIA F3, which is a really hard championship. Like,
Yeah.
go and pitch yourself against the best. As soon as you've been given the opportunity, like, okay, if the F1 Academy is how you get your foot in the door and it's how you learn some things, great, 100% great. But then, you know what? Go and do something that's really hard and challenge yourself to be the best that you can be, because otherwise you ain't going to make it to the top anyway. And then, which is why I'm disgusted with it, is all you're doing is reinforcing people's negative opinions on female drivers, because you're not doing very well, because you haven't been doing it the same way that the guys do it. And also, I think it's kind of, it's like saying you can only be racist if you're white, right? Like, you can only be sexist if you're a man, but you've got a whole championship that doesn't allow men in it. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. I think that racing is one of, and I'll get off my soapbox in a second. Racing is
That's
like
all
the only
right.
sport that I can think of that men and women can compete equally on, right? And so why don't they just let that be? Like, why don't you take that money and that support and support the ones that have the talent or show that they have the talent early on and try and make them into F1 drivers or NASCAR drivers or whatever it may be. So that's my thoughts on the subject. I'm obviously, it sounds like I'm not pro woman by saying that, but I am aggressively pro woman. And I think that
Yeah.
there are so many with the talent that they could make it, and I want to help them make it. And I think that a lot of people go about it the wrong way, and there's a lot of misconceptions. And so I think it will sort itself out, but we have to go through this weird in between era.
And I'll let Joey get into this as well, but you make a great point. There's getting there, but there's having a woman to cheer for too, right? Like having a woman that's like going out there and yes, like if you see someone who is truly talented and is like really good and is at the front and is successful, that makes it even more exciting, I'm sure, to see for other women. You know what I mean? Like, hey,
Yep.
she's doing it. You know, it's like she didn't just make it there; she's doing it. Like that. That's where I
Right.
think that's what I think you're talking about for sure.
The season's best drivers are on their way to Phoenix for this weekend's championship race, and DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you the keys to the action. New customers can turn burnt rubber into big bucks. All you got to do is bet $5 on the race to get 200 instantly in bonus bets, no matter what happens on the track. The round of 4 is set, and even though a champion will be crowned this weekend at Phoenix Raceway, anyone could win the race. Teams will put it all on the line, so be sure to tune in to Dirty Mo Doe as they handicap the field and recommend bets to watch for the 2023 season finale. Get in on the red-hot racing action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code SPEEDSTREET. New customers can bet $5 to get 200 instantly in bonus bets. That's code SPEEDSTREET only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And we all want to get behind the other women because we all want to see them succeed.
Yeah,
Like
I think that'd be
Lynn
great.
St. James. Lynn St. James has had a massive impact on my racing career. Michelle Mouton, who's literally the only woman on the planet that has won on a global stage, right? Like, name me a more badass woman than Michelle Mouton. She was winning world rally championships when I was a kid, you know? So I would love to see that happen again. Like, I really, I really do hope that these girls do well. But my worry is that if they don't, then it's going to be like judged on their backs and we're all going to get written off because of it. And it doesn't really affect me because I'm getting to the end of my career rather than starting out, but it will affect a bunch of others.